Chatter. I'm producer Dave, and we're joined by our co-host Amanda Carlin.
Hello, producer Dave.
Hello, Amanda. How are you today?
Really well, thank you. I hope you are too.
I am, yes. It's Monday morning, raring to go.
That's the only way to be on a Monday.
It is, yeah. Well, it's Monday the 27th of April, and this is episode 13. Who would have thought we'd got this far?
Oh, amazing.
Did you get up to anything over the weekend?
Not an awful lot. I rested and read a lot. And what about yourself, David?
Yeah, I was pretty much... I rested Saturday, did very little, watched a lot of TV. Did a bit of work over on Sunday. It's, at least I've got some work coming in, so that's good.
It is good.
And
it is good.
Keeping an eye on stuff for the show. Like yourself, we're doing a lot of the admin, supporting, getting lots of people to join the group, the Fenland Chatter group on Facebook, which is steadily growing. It started off with a couple of people. I think we're now up to 30 odd.
Yes, we are over 30.
Yeah, which is brilliant. That's blown our five people audience out of the water a long time ago. But I mean, it's just amazing that people actually are still with us and still listening and watching, and it's just amazing. That was it. It was fairly quiet over the weekend. Not really much to report. Alright, so shall we go into the news?
Yes.
I think most people have noticed that Boris is back in Downing Street, and he's raring to go as well. He's laid out lots of points this morning, and they are looking at formulating. They kind of know what they're doing for easing down for the exit strategy. But I think they've just been made more aware that people want to know. And I think they were kind of talking about the way that we were discussing it last week, that they didn't really want to bring it up because could potentially be confusing. Because there's a lot of issues at the moment between the police and the media and the politicians, that there's so much... Lots of different things, that there's a lot of confusion about what is and what isn't involved in the lockdown. So having another element of what we may do can bring in even more confusion as well. So I think that's why they're trying to sort of not tell everyone what the plans are, because like I say, there's one house in Cambridgeshire where the police have raided it more than 30 times.
Yes.
Because they just keep having parties, and people just aren't getting the message. So, I can understand their frustration.
Yeah, absolutely. I can understand their frustration, but the point is, we can't rush the lockdown and the results from the lockdown. It's got to take as long as it takes for us all to be safe, and for us not to fear walking outside our doors or picking something up. Or we need to all be safe. Then things can start going back to normal as they can be gradually. And I think people want to force a change, and that's not going to help. Yeah,
you're right. I mean, just trying to compare ourselves with other countries. I mean, obviously the main one is Italy, where they're just starting very carefully to bring people out of isolation, and they're doing it bit by bit, and they are very concerned about it all kicking off again. But you've got to think that their peak was ages ago. I mean, their country is very much decimated by what they've been through. But everyone realises that it's not something that can be lifted overnight and everyone's going to go back to it. And the problem is that people in the UK haven't quite got that yet. that
No.
this is something, and it's been a long time for them. They've been, what, 10 weeks now or something, 8
Yes.
to 10 weeks they've been locked down, and they're only just starting to come out of it. We've been in 5 weeks, and we're still having hundreds of people. Although we had a slight dip over the weekend, we've still got hundreds of people who are dying. People are still getting it. I mean, I think we're certainly over the worst as well, but as Boris was saying, that we can't jump too quickly, otherwise we're going to have this second wave again.
And honestly, David, I don't think the government could have controlled the situation in this country any better than they have done. I keep seeing people say this should have been done better, that should have been done better. I actually think they've done as good a job as they could have done, given the circumstances we were in when coronavirus hit. So personally, I'm happy with the way things are, and I'm happy with the statement that was made this morning.
Yeah.
And I hope everybody else gets behind the government so that we can move forward.
I mean, hindsight is a wonderful thing, especially when this is something that it is new. This is, every country is going, we've never dealt with this before. So how can we say this is the right way to do something when we've got nothing to base it off? There's so much criticism unnecessary from a lot of the media, a lot of the papers, who are just basically, they're just there to sell newspapers. So they're just riling people up, and they're trying to look for anything. And yeah, I don't agree with everything that the government have done, but you don't hear about all the problems that they have to go through to try and get stuff. I mean, they were talking about, the PPE from Turkey. They're saying, well, why haven't we ordered stuff? And then we get a plane load. But that didn't just happen overnight. These things have been in the planning for months, and they are talking to lots of different agencies and companies and stuff, but you don't hear every single thing that they're doing.
No.
And then suddenly it happens, and then lots of stuff arrive. I mean, what hasn't been talked about is the news releases from the NHS, where they give sort of daily or every couple of days how many PPE of various types have been delivered to the NHS. Now, that's not a government thing, that's the NHS itself, and they're saying, right, we've got this many face masks that have been delivered, this many gloves have been delivered, and these are like hundreds of thousands of units that have been received by the organisation themselves, and that doesn't get coverage. So you've got to be very careful about what you listen to, and quite often I stop listening to various journalists because it winds you up.
That's true.
It gives you more stress just listening to them.
Yeah.
And there's obviously one politician that should really just stop listening to altogether, and that's someone in America who is just...
Well, I think he was forced off, wasn't he, yesterday? I didn't see him anywhere yesterday.
The scary thing is he's saying one thing, and then people are doing what he says, and then he said, oh, well, you've misinterpreted what I've said. And it's the press's fault. And it's just... And people are dying because of things that he's saying. And there's such a backlash. I mean, I think, to be honest, the press should just boycott the White House press briefings. Because whilst he's being recorded and having airtime, he enjoys it because that's all part of his campaign. That's what he's doing. He's working towards his campaign. So if the press all just said, we're not going to attend, then there's no one to listen, and his word then doesn't get out, and it's
that's
you're
true.
like feeding the fire in some respects.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And somebody made a comment. I don't know where it was, where I saw it, but it's a good point that Trump's followers are misguided because they trust him.
Yeah.
and they believe in him
Yeah.
for whatever reason, and he's making these statements, and he is their president. So it's like they respect him and his role, so they believe what he's saying, because why would he tell them something that wasn't good for them?
I mean, the nearest thing I can think of is it's almost like a cult.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I mean, typical, if you go, what is a cult? And it's usually an organisation revolving around one significant influential person, where all the followers then believe and do exactly what he says. And that's that ticks lots of boxes. The cult of Trump.
Well,
that's
it's the problem is you can't put yourself into the head of a Trump follower. It's really difficult. It's really difficult to understand how they're feeling, how those people are feeling. They do trust and they do believe what he's saying.
Yeah.
And well, we've all made mistakes in life, haven't we?
Well,
that's
yes,
all I can say.
But we must stress that as much as they talk about cleaning fluids and disinfectants and bleach and stuff, they are good at cleaning them on surfaces.
Yes.
Anything outside of the body, it is good for, just not inside. So please, whatever you do, please don't use any kind of bleach products internally, because the body can't. It does more damage and could end up with you either being disfigured or dead. It's just listen. Read
it
what
doesn't even bear thinking about, does it?
It's
doesn't
scary.
Bear thinking about. It is. It's really scary, and that kind of debate isn't safe. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really.
Yes, it's the problem is it's going to carry on, and we're just going to see what happens next, and that's a case of it is what's going to happen next, because it's inevitable. But if we look at back in the UK, we've now got a new local testing station, which is good news for key workers. Because I think the previous ones were, I know there's one in Milton Keynes, there may have been one in Cambridge, but now we've got one in Peterborough, the East of Anglia showground, and that started this morning. So that's good. Excellent news. So you can book, I believe because there was no other information, you have to go through the gov.uk website and portal, and that gives you more information about who is eligible for testing, the process of doing it, and I think that gives you how to actually go about actually applying for it. But all your answers are on, certainly to start with, is on gov.uk.
So you actually book an appointment?
I think for the drive-through, I think you book a slot.
Oh, okay.
I think that's how they were doing it in some of the other places. Like you have like an hour slot, so they can cope with so many per hour. So you go, right, I'm going to go at 5 o'clock, and then you're then processed. So they know that there are only so many coming through the testing stations at any one time. So
it's a nice central place.
Sorry?
It's a nice central place to go to, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Nice and easy.
It is. It's not too far. 20 minutes from here, 25 minutes. So, yeah, that's definitely worth making a note of. Something else in Cambridgeshire, the Cambridgeshire County Council are they're just looking at the moment of reopening tips in the area, because they've had massive problems with fly tipping. A lot of fly tipping have been, and obviously they're spending lots of money trying to clear up. So they are investigating the process of opening it back up.
That's a good thing.
It is. Now, we have had an incident over the weekend where people are still travelling to do things and are getting fined. Now, there's something that quite a few people are discussing over the weekend, of whether fishing is actually classed as an exercise. And some people are saying yes, but obviously the police are saying no. A number of anglers have been fined at the Meeple fishing lakes. So this is just a reminder that, you know, this is not an exercise. Exercise involves moving and raising your heart rate. That's the kind of exercise they're talking about. Yes, it may be a sport, but it's not physical exercise, and that's the emphasis. That's what they're trying to promote. So, yeah.
But do you think the anglers were trying to find a loophole there, David?
I think they were. They were definitely angling for something, yes.
Very good.
That's my one joke of the day. Have you got some news, something about the RSPCA?
Yes, thank you. Yes, as the London Marathon didn't go ahead at the weekend,
Yep.
The organisers set a challenge across the country, and it's called the 2.6 Challenge, and that's where fundraising ideas are asked to be put together around the numbers 2.6 or 26, because there are 26 miles in a marathon.
And it was also the 26th of April as well.
Hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
Very good. And the RSPCA Centre at Lochfen have come up with a video showing 26 gorgeous animals presently available at the RSPCA in their care, either at Lochfen or around the country in one of the RSPCA's rescue centres. And if you want to have a look, go on to their social media pages and you'll see all the lovely animals.
Brilliant.
Mm.
And anything else for news?
No, nothing else for news, thank you.
Right, so we'll go on to the stats. As of yesterday, I said we had a slight dip yesterday. I think we had about 400 cases, which is sort of drastically down. But we do seem to go through dips every sort of few days. It drops and then goes back up again. So we'll see how it fares the next couple of days. But as of yesterday, the number of cases worldwide passed the 3 million mark. 3,006,000 cases. Number of cases in UK is 152,840, and total deaths so far is 20,732. Now, we did talk about comparing, or how to visualize the size of 20,000 people. We talked about comparing it to the size of stadiums. So I've got a list of stadiums in the UK, and to fit 20,000 people in, we are looking at the Peterborough Stadium in Aberdeen, which has a capacity of 20,866.
Is it really?
Yeah. So
amazing.
that's the size of, but that's just hospital. I must point out that is number of hospital cases. Obviously, those in the care homes and at home, all the other deaths attributed to COVID-19 haven't come through yet. So, you know, we're probably looking at another 2,000 or 3,000 on top of that at the moment, which is different. But that's all the information that we have at the moment.
It's a big number, isn't it? It's a lot of people.
And we're just behind Germany, I think.
Are we?
Yeah, in the number of daily stats, the number of daily cases. So I think we're going to be moving, if not today, by tomorrow, we'll have jumped them to the 5th place in the world.
That's sad. It's very sad.
It is.
I was speaking, David, to my stepmother, who lives in Brisbane.
Oh yeah.
At the weekend. So, of Queensland, well, the country's relaxing their lockdown rules from today. So people will be able to go out and meet up with one other person now. But they've had under 90 deaths, and they were very fortunate. They've got a lot of student housing for Chinese and other nationalities. And when the Asian people were asked to go back home, when the pandemic was announced, they had all of this student accommodation available. That's where all the rough sleepers went.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, see, I didn't realise this. You are right. It's like comparing apples and pears because our population is considerably different, and they've got vast amounts of open space as well, haven't they?
Yeah, and they also have a high number of indigenous population as well.
Yes. It was just really interesting speaking to her, and when I was telling her our numbers and the situation we're in, and that I know people that have got the virus, she was really shocked, and she was saying, "Oh, that's really close to home. You've got to stay safe." And some countries have, people in different countries have no idea of what we're experiencing.
Yeah, but I think even we don't. I think we don't appreciate what we're going through either.
No, I don't think we do. No.
But just talking about Australia, I think, to be honest, I think they deserve to get off lightly, because they've had such a really crap year.
You're right, with the bushfires.
They've lost so much in all with flooding and bushfires. You know, they've had a lot of hardship already. You know, they don't need a pandemic to destroy them as well. So, fingers crossed they don't get the same kind of number of cases than like the rest of the country, like the other countries in the world.
Yeah. Well, I think that they've managed it quite well. Oh, that's something.
Mm-hmm.
My stepmother told me the Queensland police, guess how many people were fined for breaking the lockdown rules throughout the state?
1.
1,400.
Wow.
1,400 breaches of the lockdown.
There were lots on Bondi beaches and stuff at the start. There were lots of them going off to the surf coasts. Yes,
and so it's $1,500 each fine.
Ooh.
And they are going to progress and make sure everybody pays up, apparently.
Good. They have to. They've got to stick with it. If they're saying we're going to fine you, then they have to follow through.
Yeah. I found that fascinating. I said, "Oh, we've got 19 in Cambridgeshire." Well, no, in Fenland, 19 blatant.
Yes.
They said.
I mean, there are other cases as well, but obviously people who are deliberately and repeatedly breaking the lockdown, as opposed to just going out and just being fined. Yeah, there's all sorts of stories of people going. Another couple were driving to the Lake District and were stopped and turned round. Someone else was going to the beach. They got bored and decided they wanted to go to the beach, and they were stopped on the M25. So you know, if you decide that you're bored and you want to go for a drive, the police will catch you. They will find you. You know, you get picked up on these number plate recognition systems, and as soon as you're sort of going further than so many miles, probably a little alarm pops up somewhere going, "We've seen you on so many cameras. You're certainly doing more than you should be."
It's crazy, isn't it? Why would you do that? Go down the M25. Oh yes, I fancy a break in Southend for the weekend.
Yeah. Because you know
nowhere's open.
No. Even the services are all shut.
Yeah.
Which is one of the problems, or one of the complaints that the lorry drivers are having, because they're driving up and down the country delivering stuff, and they're saying that, you know, they need the breaks, they need the food and the showers, and they're saying that when they stop at the service stations, the only thing that is open is the toilets. All the businesses, all the shops are shut. They can't get food, they can't get drinks or anything like that, which they desperately need.
Yes.
And that's something
That's
that isn't
uncomfortable.
open for them.
That's rotten.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand it's difficult to justify having a shop open in one of those centres, because I know they probably get charged a hefty whack anyway, just for rates, for renting the properties anyway. But yeah, it's difficult to justify keeping them open, because obviously nobody's going. So, but then if you just open, there needs to be something to at least have one shop open at each service station that is just catering for key workers and truck drivers.
Or maybe it's something the army could set up.
Mobile kitchens or something. Mobile.
Yeah, because they'd be able to manage it properly and make sure everywhere was properly sanitised as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so much to take into consideration, isn't there?
I mean, even if you said, well, what about people who do mobile catering? I mean, there's lots of mobile catering vans that drive to destinations, so you could say, right, we'll have a mobile unit in the morning at this service station, and then in the afternoon at this service station, and in the evening at this service station, or something like that. I don't know what the answer is, but something that is centrally coordinated.
Well, there is an answer. I'm sure there is an answer.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's much easier than we're thinking.
Probably.
Really.
Yeah. Just pay someone to be open.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be like this, does it? Poor haulage workers. I mean, they're going out. They're leaving their families.
Yeah. They're on the road for long
Difficult.
term. They're driving across to Europe as well, and it's a tough old job.
Yeah.
And underappreciated as well. I think people have
Yes.
started to realise how many of these support networks are so important to the fact that the UK economy keeps going.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. Doris. What's happening with Doris? What's Doris up to?
Thank you. Well, Doris has received lots of thanks for keeping people updated on when to put their bins out and when not to put their bins out, because people are forgetting which day it is during the pandemic. And
Yeah, me
we
too.
are, aren't we?
Yeah.
We forget which day it is and which colour bin. So Doris is grateful and said thank you to everybody. We have got a question for Doris today.
Okay.
And this is from Claire Hall. Actually, I think Claire might have asked Doris a question before. And she asks, because she's suffering with various twitches and aches and pains that she doesn't usually suffer from. And they're now having an impact on her everyday life because she can't do as much as she usually does, David.
Yeah.
And she's a bit worried about phoning the doctor in such stressful times. And she's asking Doris, what should she do? So Gail, who looks after Doris,
Yeah.
kindly spoke to Doris on our behalf, and Doris said, Claire, thank you for your question. We're all noticing little aches and pains at the moment as our routines are interrupted. That's true, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
We may have these niggles all of the time, but don't normally notice them because we're busier and our minds are occupied. We only notice them more now because we may be not doing as much, and they may become worse with the worry of contacting the doctor and wondering whether to or not. That's true, because it plays on your mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So, Doris is saying, even if you're asked to go in for an appointment, if you don't call the doctor, you could be putting yourself at additional risk. And just pick up the phone, ask the doctor, and the doctor knows best. they'll make the decision that is best for Claire. So Claire, please pick up the phone and call the doctor.
Yeah, definitely. If you're in any doubt, then yes, speak to a doctor. I mean, the other option is if you're just getting mild twinges, you know, you just sort of if you've not exercised for a bit and you sort of you've got minus aches and pains, then I would suggest maybe go to the chemist.
Yes, the chemists are helpful, aren't they?
And they'll just speak to them and just get some advice from them, and they will either recommend some bits and pieces, or they'll say, you know, contact your doctor because it's more serious than that. So if you don't want to, if you're worried about contacting your doctor, then certainly go and speak to a chemist, a pharmacy, who they are trained doctors, or they are trained medical practitioners in various, or maybe more the medicine side, but they, you know, they still know a lot of the things that are pertaining to the medical conditions. So, you know, if it's not serious, so obviously you got 999 if it's an emergency. If it's serious but not life threatening, then call the treble one. General issues or recurring issues, then obviously your local doctors. But if it's just something a little bit, I just feel a bit under the weather, you know, go and speak to your pharmacist.
I had help from the pharmacist at the weekend.
Oh, good.
And the pharmacist said to me, I need to go to the doctor.
Well, that's fine. I mean, if they don't know, then they're going to pass you up.
They did help. They helped.
Yeah. But at least it sort of puts your mind at rest, or at least sort of gives you some kind of formalises what you're trying to go through as well. So at least then, when you do come to call the doctors, you've spoken to someone, and then you can actually put it into words, because at least you've talked to someone about it. So at least then when you phone up the surgery or you phone treble one, you can go, yes, it's this and this. This is the problems I'm having, as opposed to, well, I just feel a bit unwell. You know, hopefully then you've had the chance to talk to someone who can say, right, you want to mention this, you want to mention this, you want to mention this. So, you know, it does help if you actually talk to someone who knows a little bit about what's going on.
Yes, absolutely. And they are very knowledgeable.
Okay.
I have got something else from Doris.
Okay.
And Doris says that she's really impressed with the amount of photographs that are being taken on people's daily exercise walks.
Oh, good.
So where people are walking for their daily exercise and they're going out in the country, she said it's particularly nice to see for people who are in quarantine and can't get out at the moment, can't see the spring colours, apart from in their gardens.
Yeah.
A bit of wildlife, it does the soul good. So Doris is asking children and young people to keep a lockdown diary to record what happens whilst they go on their daily exercise. That's not a bad idea, is it? Oh, you nearly went.
It's not a bad idea at all. I mean, obviously we've got to point out that these are taking photos as you are actually out on your daily exercise, and not just going out just for the sake of taking pictures.
That's absolutely right, David. And guess what Doris has also asked children and young people to do?
More pictures?
Yes! Why not do a drawing of the photos, put them in your windows so that people can see, and then they can go to sheltered housing afterwards as well, so that the residents can see all the beautiful colours as well.
Just thinking what they could do is they could do like a line drawing of the photo, and then they can then colour it in as well.
That's a really good idea. That makes life easy.
Yeah. Because that's now popular again, isn't it, for adults and kids as well. The colouring, adult colouring books. So, yeah.
Oh, they're brilliant.
They're so popular. I don't think I've not done one, but I know a lot of people are into them.
Well, I know what to get you for your birthday then, David.
I do remember being given a painting by numbers set when I was about 10, 12.
Were you neat and did you keep everything in line?
No. I think it was more of a Picasso than a... or a Monet.
Oh, love a bit of Monet.
So is that everything from Doris?
It is. That's everything from Doris. Thank you.
Excellent. Interviews. No interviews today, but we have 3 or 4 lined up this week. So they will be processed and aired at some point in the next couple of weeks. So please stay tuned for them. Life with lockdown. What we got? The main one from me is our lovely hero, Captain Tom Moore, who you may have noticed or may have heard. 99 years old. He's got his 100th birthday next week. Well, end of this week, isn't it? End of this week.
Yes.
To celebrate, the Royal Mail are issuing all stamped envelopes with a postmark that says happy 100th birthday. So please look out for them. And I believe they are doing a series or a documentary on his life on VE Day.
That will be wonderful to watch.
So hopefully they'll have lots of videos of Fens.
Yeah.
It'll be nice to actually hear
amazing.
if they do get everything and actually talk about his time living in the Fenland area.
Mm. Well, he was working in March for a very long time, so should have something.
Yeah, and then we can find all about his military career as well.
Yeah, be wonderful.
So.
Then we'll love him even more than we already do.
Yeah, he is. I bet he never thought before his 100th birthday that he would be a national icon. People asking for him to be knighted. The fact that he's got a number 1 in the charts is just... and to have raised £29 million for the NHS. You don't expect that.
He's amazing.
Within,
No.
just 2 months, and everything in his life has changed.
He's a beacon of hope.
Yeah, I think that's... in all the dark times that are happening at the moment, people like to see one thing that they can look as a like you say, as a beacon, just one thing that sort of helps bring the country together, help unite them over a difficult times to keep everyone going. I mean, everyone's doing a fantastic job. Everyone's working hard. All the key workers, the supporters, the ambulance crews, the firemen, the post office posties, the bin men, the deliveries, the truck drivers, the list just goes on and on. All the people that are out there every day working hard, who don't get the recognition, they don't get the accolade that Captain Tom's done, but he's there on their behalf. So it's nice to appreciate his work, but also use that as a time to reflect on the fact that everybody else is doing such a great job to keep the country going at this time.
Yeah, and I think the thing about Captain Tom is he's a very humble man, isn't he?
Yeah.
He seems genuinely lovely, and yeah, I just think he's great, really.
And he's still got all his marbles as well, because he was being interviewed last week, and he's quite happy. He's quite able to look after himself when it comes to interviews. He's still quite switched on you know. So he's not
Yes.
he's no fool, you know. He handles himself very well,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
is great. It's a shame we can't have him on our show.
Oh, wouldn't. Oh
That would
dear,
have-
I'd be in awe. I'd be going. Oh, it's Captain Tom. I'm a Captain Tom groupie.
You're fangirling him. Okay, well, we'll put Captain Tom to the side for the moment. I'm sure he will reoccur again over
Yes.
future episodes, just because he's just an amazing guy.
Mm.
Okay, Life with Lockdown. Do you have anything you've got?
Yes, please. Cambridgeshire County Council have put out another request for experienced individuals in delivering health or personal care, people in their own homes or in a care setting, because they're presently under intense strain. So they are after volunteers. If you feel you're able to assist and have the experience, please go to the County Council's website or their social media pages for more information.
Excellent.
Oh yes, the government are asking for people to reach out if they're facing financial strain during lockdown, and we have mentioned this before. You've mentioned it before, David.
Yeah.
But if you can stay at home and visit www.gov.uk/find-coronavirus-support for more help and assistance. The government want to help if they can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes, that's all for that section.
Okay. The government have pushed out another call for fruit pickers again.
Have they?
Yeah, they still desperately need people to go and work on the fields. So if you have time, you are furloughed, you are able to, then please go and make contact. I think that one was through the BBC. That's the latest one. But yes, if you are capable, and or you know people who are willing, or I know a lot of students are now coming to the end of their courses. They're handing their final pieces at the moment. So yeah, if you want to, one, make some money, two, sort of, it looks great on your CV, because then it shows your future employee, you know, good advice for students, you know, and they say, oh, what did you do during the lockdown? And you go, well, I carried on working. I went and helped. I volunteered my time. I worked as a porter. I worked on the field, picking crops or something like that. It shows proactivity, you know, that you did something. You know, if you just say, oh, well, you know, I stayed at home and played Call of Duty or whatever for 4 months, then, you know, it's not going to...
You're right.
But I mean, there's a balance. You've got to play Call of Duty at some point, but there is a balance between spending 4 months doing it and 4 months helping out.
Well, as a professional CV writer, David, I would say what you need to say is you volunteered to be part of the country's land army.
Yes.
That's the
excellent.
way to put it. Yes. And it will look good. It will look very good. Mm-hmm.
You know, you want to show what you can do that's different from everybody else.
Mm.
And that's because it's going to be tough when this year, because you have all the students coming out of university, you've got all those leaving school, you will have a flooded market of people who have been made unemployed, and there are only going to be 80% of the businesses that are still going compared to the start of the lockdown. So you have a very saturated market in a very small market, or a certainly reduced market. So whatever you do, you're going to have to do something pretty spectacular to stand out above everybody else. So my advice is to do things that get ahead of the game and start doing stuff now.
Yeah, that's really wise. it's bad enough now. So, yeah, the job market's very tough for school leavers and anybody leaving university.
It's tough at the best of time, but this is going to be a real challenge. There's going to be a lot of people struggling to find work come September.
Yeah.
So use your initiative. Think outside the box. Think of other ways. It doesn't have to be work, but sort of think about how you are utilising your time, because that may pay dividends when things do settle down and get back to normal, or get back to some kind of normality.
Yes.
Okay, should we do a real roundup?
Yes, please.
You've got some bits and pieces for us?
I have. So first of all, we mentioned in the last episode that the George Inn in Doddington had organised a virtual dog show.
Oh, yes, you did, yeah.
And the results of the dog show, the winners have been chosen. They've been announced. It was a difficult job. All the participants are showing on the George's social media pages, so log in and have a look, because they're lovely, gorgeous animals. And there's video of the ones that were doing tricks, which is gorgeous.
I want to make a complaint. Where's the where's the cat show?
We haven't got one, have we?
We need a virtual cat show.
A cat show. Yes. Oh, cats are lovely. So, also corn. Now, I'm not too sure what the acronym is. Is it Cambridgeshire Community Resource and Reuse Centre or something like that? I don't know.
Cambridgeshire Community Reuse and Recycling Network.
Brilliant.
Is what it stands for. And they're in March.
Thank you, Producer Dave. So, usually supermarkets donate food to corn, who then distribute it free of charge to people. There are some conditions, and that is that some items you can only have a limited number of, and also items can't be sold on.
Yep.
But because corn are closed due to the lockdown, the items are being sent to the Anchor Inn in Wimbledon. So keep an eye on the Anchor Inn in Wimbledon's Facebook page, because they let people know when the food's available, and you can just pop down and see what's there. They have various breads and fruit and vegetables, and they even have gluten-free bread if you've got an intolerance.
Yeah.
So that's good. Cambridgeshire County Council, along with Peterborough City Council, they've set up a service called Now We're Talking, #NowWe'reTalking, and that's to help people if they're suffering from mental health issues, and especially during lockdown. That's a problem right now.
Yeah.
So go onto their website. It's being supported by BBC Radio Cambridgeshire, and in conjunction with Mind and the local NHS Trust. Have a look at social media as well, because there are links. If you're having problems, get in contact, don't suffer.
There's also that Care Network Cambridgeshire as well, which are looking at mental well-being as well.
Yes, there are options available for people.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah. And one organisation that we haven't spoken about very much, who do fantastic work, are Age UK.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got an older or vulnerable neighbour who needs additional help over and above what you're able to offer, or you can't help for some reason, ask your neighbour if they'd be happy for you to contact Age UK, or give them Age UK's contact details so they can see how they can be helped directly.
Okay.
All of the volunteers are experienced they're caring, and they've got suitable DBS checks in place. So take a look at their website if you know anybody who needs some help.
That is brilliant, and the fact they're all checked as well, which is excellent.
Very important.
It is, yeah. Okay, and you got something on VE Day?
I have got something on VE Day, yes. Thank you. So we've only got just over a week to go until the 75th anniversary of VE Day on the 8th of May. And in the last episode, we asked for towns and villages to give us their ideas of how they might celebrate in lockdown.
Oh, have you got some responses, have you?
I have.
Oh, excellent.
Amazing. So some ideas are putting Union Jack flags up and bunting around households.
Yep.
Drawing Union Jack flags and putting them up.
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah.
And Doris.
And Doris, yeah. Picnics, have a picnic in front garden. Observe the national anthem.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget to stand. And people are letting their streets know that this is what they're thinking of doing by putting flyers through people's letterboxes. So if anybody in their street wants to join in, they can. There are a few streets, mainly where they're cul-de-sacs and estates. They're having a disco, but it's all socially distanced.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, it sounds like fun.
Mm. That's good. Well, I've just had a thought.
Yes.
Just talking about drawing and how everyone is good at drawing around here, and they all love to draw. I'm just thinking we should have a competition, a drawing competition, where the kids have to draw what they think Doris looks like.
That's brilliant.
And I think something like that would actually have a prize as well.
Yes, I think so. I think that's an excellent idea, David.
I think that's something we need to go and get some ideas. We'll come back to you. We'll find something and we'll work out some criteria, and we'll maybe try and find a prize. I'm sure we might have a Lego set or something that we can use as a prize, or something we can offer to make it worthwhile. But I think that's something. But we'll get back to you by the next episode with more details.
That sounds like a brilliant idea.
Cool. Right, is that anything else for you? I think that's everything from me.
I have got two things.
Okay.
I don't think I went. No, yes, I have two things. Cambridgeshire County Council, they're asking parents and carers to be mindful of what children and young people are viewing online as they spend more time at home during the pandemic. And it's also a good time to teach children about online safety.
Yes.
And that can be incorporated into homeschooling. The National Crime Agency have created free activity packs for children aged 4 to 14, and these can easily, we've already said that. I was going to say they can easily be incorporated into homeschooling again. Please take a look at the Cambridgeshire Constabulary's website or social media pages for more information. Got one more thing.
Oh, just before you go on to that, I was just talking about the online stuff. That was something that was discussed over the weekend, and some of the advice was given was if your child has access to laptops and tablets and stuff, that you're allowing them so that they can then keep themselves occupied for part of the day, is make sure that they use it in the same room as everybody else. And not to go off to their rooms to use them, because once they're in the bedrooms, then you don't know what they're looking at, and you don't know what other people are saying to them either. So at least sort of try and keep the sort of as a family element. So yes, let them surf the internet and explore and see what's available, but do it in the safety of the living room with everybody, with the family as well. So, if anything does come up, or any messages or any dubious sites, then at least you can then talk to them as part of the safety and say, this is not a suitable site or whatever. But try and make sure that when you do, for younger children at least, make sure that they are part of the family when they are using these devices.
That's very important.
Yes.
Yeah. That's really good advice.
You have something else, yeah?
Yes, I do. The Archbishop of Canterbury has set up a daily hope free phone line, and it includes daily reflections and prayers to help people spiritually during the pandemic. So if you need some upliftment at all, you can dial 0800 804 8044. But don't worry, that number is available on the Church of England's website and on their social media pages.
Do you want to say that number again, because we lost you slightly at the end?
Okay, 800 804 8044.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So is that the end of the roundup, the rural roundup?
That is.
Well, I think, we're coming to the end of Battery Lives. We've come to the end of the news and everything else, so I think that's pretty much it for today. You got any last bits of information or comments or thoughts?
No, apart from the obvious that we're saying, stay well, stay healthy, and wash your hands.
And stay home. Cool. Yes, and keep remembering to wash, because I even find myself forgetting to wash my hands sometimes as well. So just try and keep, and don't go out unnecessarily. People are still going out more than once or twice a day for no reason at all, or certainly no apparent reason. There's no need to be going out more often than necessary. Stay indoors, stay home, keep everyone safe, look after your families. Right, well, I think that's it from us. So I will say goodbye from me.
I have to say it, goodbye from him.
Well, thank
Goodbye.
you. Goodbye.